pull up those nets for your mighty harvest. Nevertheless, Jesus, at your word, you're not really a fisherman, but we are. But at your word, they throw it over, and what happens? Their nets begin to break. Your harvest is at hand. Listen to me. Hear what God is trying to say. Your harvest is at hand. Pastor, in the gray here, tell me your name. Charlie. Your house is in a season of harvest. Let nothing steal your praise, and let nothing quench the light. Let the word be decreed and declared that it's your season, because it's this house season. And so as it is upon the head, so is it on the rest of the fellowship and body. And the Lord says, I have sent blessing your way. And the Lord said, in this season, I will cause your ways to prosper. Oh, daughter of Zion, I've heard your cry, and I've seen you rise early in the morning with a mouth of praise lifted up for me. And the Lord says, I've heard every cry, and I've captured every tear, and now I splash it upon your household and declare what was once dry to be saturated for a mighty harvest. It's a day of change and transformation, for my good word has come to bless your house. I release the blessing and the promise of God that you are in your perfect season. This young man right here in the California Angels hat, I heard the Lord, and this is what he said. Today, I'm going to apprehend all the struggle, all the fighting. Today, I'm going to apprehend that place of conflict in you. And I'm going to say something that's going to strengthen you. You are my beloved Son, and who I'm pleased in. When you look upon the mirror, you have seen faults, you have seen failures, you have seen shortcomings, you have seen yourself in low light. But the Lord says today, I'm going to put a floodlight on you. And when you look, you're not going to be able to see because of the brightness of light the way you used to. The Lord says, when you're in bright sunlight without sunglasses, what does a man do? He squints. The Lord says, I'm going to shine a light so bright that you're going to begin to squint as you look in the mirror. And as you squint, suddenly, you're no longer going to see yourself. You're going to see the glory of my presence shining and reflecting in, by, and through you. For the Lord says, today I come to apprehend your heart, but most of all, I come to shift your mind to a high place that you might see yourself the way I've seen you all along, as my Son in whom I love. The Lord says, today I am the lifter of your head and the one who picks up your countenance, but I am the God of grace that restores all things in your heart. I'm telling you right now, God's changing things. It's not a day of lack. It's not a day of limitation. It's not a day of adversity. It's not your day of struggle. What it is like it was for Daniel. He went and turned towards the east when adversity rose up. Where does the sun rise? But in the east. So it was him praying for a brand new day. I'm here to ask you a simple question. Which way are you facing today? Say, it's time to look east. It's a brand new day, and it's shining over me. When I looked at you, I heard the word of the Lord quickened me. And you know what he said? This is what he said. I am about to apprehend and fulfill every promise that I've spoken to you. There are some promises that in your heart look too hard to grab hold of, and they begin to drift to the outer surface. I don't know why, but I looked at you again and I saw a roulette table. And I saw the thing going all around and around and around and stopped on red 7. I don't know if that's true, but red 7. And the Lord says, it's my perfect time to bring maturity. And all the chips were there, but this is what I saw. Those chips represent God's promises. And you know what? The guy that that's running that operation does. He has this stick with a little hook on it. And you know what he did? He grabs all the chips and he brings them to disperse them. I heard the Lord say, some of the things that I've promised you have gone to the outer limits, to the outer parts, and almost fell off the table. But I'm about to gather them and pull them back, stack them up, and hand them to you. Every promise that I've given you, that they might rise up and be fulfilled in your life. Don't give in. Don't quit because the winds of adversity are blowing, but stand strong knowing that the door of heaven is open and you're coming into the promise. It is my declaration to you that you are in the season to apprehend your promise. Come on, if you believe that, say yes. And I'm letting you know, I'm not saying he's a gambler. It was just an analogy that God used by the Spirit. Some people are like, ooh, that brother, God gonna bless him, he in sin. No, he ain't. It was just a thought that God wanted to convey that he could easily comprehend and say, I see what you're saying. As I looked at you, Mom, on the end, in the black, I heard something very, very wonderfully spoken in my spirit. And the Lord said to tell you, he ain't done with you. He ain't done with you. He ain't finished what he started. There is some things that you hold on to regarding your family. There are some things that just seem, they're not coming closer. They seem to be like a sail ship sailing away. But the Lord says, fear not, my earth is round. I am bringing them all the way back. He says, remember this. Circle is a sign of my covenant. And the Lord says, I'm bringing your family full circle. You might have thought some drifted out of sight, but the Lord said, look eastward. It's a new day and your ships come into port. Your family and the ones that you cry for continuously, those in whom you know have a call, a destiny, and a purpose, they're about to be coming in to port. The Lord says, my promise to you is they are turning the corner and closer to my presence than you might believe. Continue to pray and watch this season bring forth fruit you knew not of. My promise to you is look eastward and you'll see the ship coming to port. You know what people do at the port when their loved ones are getting off the ship? They greet them with smiles. Mama, just remember this. You're standing there praying. And when they come and you see them, your prayer becomes your celebration. God says, let a trumpet be found in your mouth. And let my promise bring the joy. I fulfill it and give it to you today, says the Spirit of the grace. What a word. You know, often we want God to do the same thing he did last night. And it's a completely different flow. You know why? Because we're a whole different crowd. And so what's going to happen is God's going to get us to that place of a saturated presence of glory. Say, one gift changed everything. His name is Jesus. The gift of God is here tonight. His Son is here by presence. You can feel him. All you have to do is grab hold of him right now. This is what I want you to do. Close your eyes. And I want you to see whatever it is that's ailing you. I want you to see what has been what we call our issue. Today, I want you to see you partaking of communion and fellowship with God and see that issue be destroyed. That issue is being apprehended right now. My God, I feel the peace of God coming in here. Things are changing for people all in this room. Let the glory fill your people. Jesus. There it goes. Fill her up. Atmosphere shifting. His glory is here. Fill her, Jesus, to the place where her life begins to overflow with the blessing of God. We speak a shift to the Inland Empire. We speak a shift to the economy, to the financial woes and lows. We declare that this house will be favored, and those that are here will be favored by your word and your promises. That jobs will be made available for them. That suddenly doors will be made open, that they might walk through and they might apprehend what you have promised. The best is here now. I bless you, Lord, for all that you're doing.